guys, it's back outdoors again on the Quack Back episode 5. Tonight we're actually going to talk about the most famous. Everybody enjoys doing this the most, the feeding call. So we'll talk through some situational calling with feeding call and maybe break some myths that people have in their mind about the elusive feeding call. So anyways, back on J-frame again tonight. Just a single read call, it's an echo breaker. Let's just talk about, you know, the chuckle or whatever you want to call that. The common myth of the guys, you do not have to master that or learn to do that to kill ducks. It's so funny to hear other call makers talk about this. You know, a lot of guys use it in Main Street and get so confused on having to do that in the woods or on the lake, wherever you're hunting at. You don't have to do that. Now, I use an aggressive feed call sometimes in certain situations. We may talk about that here in a second, but the main thing about a feeding call, if you listen to live mallards, it's not near that fast. It's actually more of just a chatter. That's 9 times out of 10, if you spend any time in the woods around live ducks, that's how they're calling when they're feeding. And typically ducks don't feed in anything over 12 inches of water. So it's really important that you're in the right environment to even make those calls. But tonight's discussion is about the feeding call and chatter. So, you know, typically that's what I like to do. You know, when you get the ducks on top of you, they're starting to be a little finicky or they're acting like they want in the hole, and you still have to grab their attention. That's when, say you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 callers in the group, everybody starts to go to that chatter. And you have a group of callers start doing that, you sound like a raft of ducks. And it's unreal how much noise you can just fill up a hole with just by doing that. So that's really what I would focus on, guys, if you're starting to do that chatter. And what I say in the call is just, I say the number 2 and really quick, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and just over and over in that repetitive cycle. You can throw some quacks in there, you can get creative all you want. You know, the more you do that and the more repetitive you get, the more creative you can get with that call. But, you know, another style of feeding is more that aggressive ticka or dugga, whatever you want to say, is where you use actually the back of your tongue and sequence for the front. So that style of feeding call. Now, there are situations when you're having to aggressively get on mallards for them to actually finish or to get their attention or for a bunch of ducks to group up. And so a lot of times when you're calling, you can throw all kind of different cadences in there to really get aggressive. And that's typically when I use something like that. But it's very, very easy to get carried away with that. So you really have to pace yourself. Also, it will tire your tongue out and your palate. So making calling a little more difficult. But the basic premises of feeding is just to have a level of comfort for those ducks to finish, is basically. So, you know, ideally ducks are very social animals and they're wanting to join a party of other ducks to feed or to socialize, and that's just a comfort call that they're doing while they're feeding. Another one thing, you know, I'll end on this, is early in the mornings when the ducks are buzzing the top of the trees or flying high in the skies, the only other time that you hear ducks chattering. And it's just like I said, it's just a comfort call for them, whether they're feeding or loafing in above the treetops in the morning. And that's when you hear those mallard drakes. So if you have a group of, say, 50 mallards above the treetop, and most of them are drakes, you hear a lot of that. And gadwalls like to do it as well. So anyways, guys, that's kind of the just high level view of the feeding call. Thanks for joining in, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Back out.